Check out these two images. Totally different editing styles, but both grab your attention. And the secret is not gear or editing, but strong composition. So in this video, I'm going to show you my simple approach to nightscape compositions so you can consistently capture Milky Way shots you love. To start, let's go a bit deeper into what composition actually is, because everyone keeps saying, yeah, composition here, composition there, do this for your compositions, but not many people actually go deep enough into what the composition is. And the composition simply is how you place different elements in the photo, like subjects, lines, light, contrast, everything you place in the photo, how you place it to make the photo look intentional and not just random, or make the image look good, visually appealing to the human eye. And this takes a lot of practice, a lot of theory to master, and I don't believe anyone will never be able to capture the 100% best composition in any scenario, at least with our style of images, because there are 1,000 different small elements in the landscape that you can't control. But there are some few key things we can do to make the images look better. But before we get into the specifics, I just want to mention that with nightscapes, with the thing we do, the genre of photography we take, it's a bit more complicated because we always have the Milky Way or a part of the sky to photograph. So it's not just composing the photo, placing again the different elements, subjects, and everything in the photo so it looks good. We have to actually be able to connect the sky and the landscape, the foreground. So there is a flow, there is a story in there. So it's not just stars and land, it's a whole image. And that's where most people struggle with nightscapes, because it is a bit more difficult to create this connection. For example, if you do portraits or street photography or landscapes, it's a lot easier because you don't have to think about the Milky Way. It's not always there. It's for the whole image that you have to compose, put the Milky Way in a good position in the image, and then you have to really think about the foreground. That's how we approach it. Still, it can be simple, but before that, there's something really important that I want to cover. I have briefly done it in the intro of the video. You might be thinking, to improve my Astro, I need better gear, and that might be right. You might be thinking, I need to be able to edit in a better way, and yeah, that might be right too. But most people really underestimate the power of compositions, because look, this image here, the editing of the sky, it's not that difficult to achieve. It's too much of an extreme edit. And the foreground, it's the same thing, just a bit light painting on that rock you see there. And everything else about this image is composition and color too. Color is something important. I put it under the umbrella of editing, but understanding a bit the photographic theory of the photo and not the astro theory, if you get what I mean. Yeah, you want the colors to be accurate for the Milky Way and everything, but matching the color and using the color theory, it's a completely different beast on its own. It's just a bit of that, which, yeah, it's editing, but you might argue might be composition too, because you don't want to include something in the composition that is completely unrelated to the colors of the rest of the image, unless you want that thing to stand out. And for example, these images here, I consider the composition okay at best, or even bad. And these images here, I consider the composition great. You see, it's not the editing. This image here has better editing, let's put it that way, but worse composition. This image here has better composition and worse editing than the other one, but it's better, right? Unless you really like the editing part and things pop, in that case, the first one is better for you, but I mean, in general. So imagine if your image has a great composition and you do a nice editing. Then the image is powerful, like these examples here. Look, the composition here is very strong. The editing is one of my best edits in my astro career. So of course, work on the editing, get better gear, get better techniques, but the composition is the foundation. Imagine that composition is the same thing as sleep and nutrition is for fitness. If you go to a gym or if you work out and you sleep like 4 hours per night, and don't eat enough food, you basically don't see that great of a progress. Composition is the same thing for photos. If you do the right editing, if you capture the best raw files with the sky and everything, if you do a lot of technical things right, but your composition is shit, basically, your photo won't be that good. And it's a shame to miss the points, basically, that the composition will give to the image because you didn't think of how you place everything in the photo, every element. So let's get into the specific advice on how to get better at compositions. And the first thing, before I show you an image, step 0, basically the most important thing, is when you are out shooting and you're imagining the composition, or when you're planning, think of everything that draws attention in the image, everything you will include. And if you want to take it a step further, think of literally everything in your photo, like, there is a rock there, there is a tree there, like, think of everything. But most cases you don't have to stress that much about it, just the key elements, like yourself standing there, or a mountain, or stuff like that, or like a river for a leading line, reflections, the things that stand out. But think of everything in your image and just be intentional with it. It doesn't matter if your intention is wrong. If you think, placing this specific part in this place of the image will look great, and then you edit it and it doesn't. Because this way, next time you won't place it there. It's a part of the process of improving. But if you are not intentional, if you don't place things in your composition thoughtfully, you will never fail and improve. I will give you the tips, I will give you the specifics, but it's kind of an art as well. You have to see what you actually like in the image. There might be some composition rules that you consistently break, but your images look good to you and to other people. So step 0 is just be intentional with what you place in the image and how you place it in the image. And then with intention, you are able to manage along the way. So 1, 2, 3 images is like a self-guiding torpedo or something. Changes in direction, and then, wait, we are going too much to the left, let's go to the right. So the same thing if you're intentional with how you place things in your images. You might go a bit to the left, a bit to the right. You fuck around and find out, but the fuck around part, you want it to be intentional, so you actually find out. Because if it's not intentional, you will not have any background to think about and improve. Now let's talk about specific images. I have some open here. This image here, let's start from the top because it's the easy part. It's just the Milky Way, and I wanted it to be in between this opening of the rocks. This is in Tenerife, my latest workshop in Tenerife in La Palma. It's me and one of the workshop attendees there. The Milky Way made it pop, colorful, stand out, to draw attention. That's a bit of editing as well. And the stars, I used the star glow filter, make the effect a bit more magical, but I didn't make every star in the image pop a lot. That will be too distracting from the rest of the image, basically, and from the Milky Way. So I just made them big stars pop and like kept the background stars or the smaller stars a bit more subtle. Now about the placement of the foreground, which is the important stuff. And in between the foreground and the sky, it's the light pollution, the atmosphere. That was intentional as well. Not that I could avoid it while shooting the image, but I could have reduced it a bit more when I was post-processing the image, when I was editing, but I chose to keep it there because it's a smooth transition between the foreground and the sky. It's also in between the two rocks, which is a separate point I will talk about in a second, but in between the two rocks, it doesn't look fake or artificial. Imagine if there was no light pollution there, the rocks will stand out a lot and it will look fake, but now there is a smooth transition and that makes it a lot more natural. Color-wise, it's similar to the rest of the colors of the bottom of the image, so it's even smoother. The foreground image was wider, but I cropped in a bit, and that was because I didn't want the rocks to seem like elements in the image. There are still elements in the image, there are still important parts, but now it's just framing in the image. It's not just two standalone stuff. Imagine I might give you an image of the raw pile. The rocks went down because it's not infinite on both directions, right? It's just two bumps. If they went down and there was sky to the far right and far left, it wouldn't be as a strong composition because there wouldn't be any framing there to frame the Milky Way and like the path we're seeing. You have to imagine how to tell a story, how to make the image flow too. That part was intentionally cropped. In post-processing, I captured a wider image, but I cropped just to make that frame the sky of the image. And then, okay, the bushes, all that small stuff, I could then move. That rock in front of us is a bit nice. It points to the Milky Way and it's illuminated by, I think, a car passing by or like someone else taking a picture. It's like a really famous spot there, so even during the night a lot of people pass by and everything. Now about the elephant in the room, us standing there with the light, that's intentional to create the connection between the foreground, the earth, humanity, and the sky, space, universe. I have a whole video about that. I will link it at the end of this video so you can go take a look. This whole thing, if you imagine an arrow passing through the image, you look at us there, standing, the light is really strong. Then there's framing, transition, and the Milky Way. So it's a very smooth image. It's a really nice composition. I love it. A few things though that I had to intentionally keep down because I held the light there, so it illuminated everything around us. There are a few bushes and rocks that are illuminated close to the corners and the edges of the image, and I burned it basically. If you don't know what burn is while editing you can create a mask and lower the exposure, that's burning, and you can do the same thing with increasing the exposure, that's dodging. It's dodge and burn basically to give contrast to the image and make things pop. In this case I didn't dodge anything. I increased the brightness of the light I'm holding and the Milky Way and everything to make them pop, but I burned things around me and I added some vignetting, I think, in the foreground so they wouldn't draw as much attention. So it's not just what to include, what to make stand out in the image, it's also what not to include, like to not include, and what to bring down a bit so it doesn't draw attention. That could be with saturation, that could be with light. While shooting the image, if I was like crazy enough, I could have moved a rock or something, like a huge rock, so it's not in the image, although I usually don't do it unless it's a small rock. In a beach, there might be some rocks there while shooting and I might move one very dominant one or something from the edge of the frame that I can do it, but bigger ones, well, I don't bother. That's the flow of the image. That's what I really love about this composition. And now let's transition to the next image. The next image is basically the use of a leading line. And my point here with this image is you want to lead the eye through the image. You want to create a plan for how the eye, like someone who views the image, where his eyes or her eyes go and how they move. Because you don't want everything in the photo to grab attention, that will be too much, but you don't want the wrong things to grab attention to. So in this image, for example, first thing that grabs attention is inevitably the Milky Way because of how bright and contrasted it is compared to the rest of the sky. After that, you go down and you see me. That's again the human element, someone enjoying the stars. You bring the Milky Way, that abstract idea for most people because most people have never even seen the Milky Way with their eyes, which is crazy. You can go to Immortal Four Sky and see the nebulosity there, see the, okay, not colors and everything, you will never be able to see the colors, but you can see the shape. And most people have never done that. So they see the Milky Way in an image, and a lot of people ask me, can I see this? And I say, yeah, but not the color. And they say, wow, I can actually see the shape though, I never knew. Where can I go see it, basically? Most people haven't seen the Milky Way, so it's like connecting that part of our universe, that part of the world, with something human, something they're familiar with. If you show me standing there, in this case, enjoying the Milky Way, it connects it. Basically, in their mind, it registers, yeah, there is someone there watching, so this thing exists. It's not something magical. If I show you now an image of the Rosette Nebula, for example, because that's probably one of the only deep sky photos I have ever captured. I show it to people and they say, wow, what's that? It's something up there in the sky. And they say, okay. Then I show them the Milky Way and they see me there standing looking at the Milky Way. Wow, can I see this too? They just connected. So yeah, that's a tangent. I have a whole video about that. Again, I will link it at the end of this video. That's a separate point for the image. But the leading line, like the road line, and the fence next to the road that I am leaning on, those two things act as a leading line, leading the eye back and the road too, basically. Everything on the bottom of the image leads the eye towards the Milky Way core. So the flow of this image, okay, not for everyone, you might start from the corner or something, but you look at it, you go down to the bottom because it's less dominant, top pops the Milky Way, so you inevitably look there first. You go down, look at all the lines, and it takes you back up to the Milky Way, which creates the effect of going back and down, and people look at the image for a long time, enjoy it, it creates emotion, like it pleases people with looking at it. And the most, you might say, yeah, the most important thing is for me to like the image. Okay, I post them, it's my job to like get attention from my images. So I want other people to like them too. I have to think about it a bit. But Milky Way, back down, Milky Way again, while adding the touch of, yeah, there's someone there enjoying it. That's how a leading line should work in a composition. It should lead you to where you want people to watch. I have another image here with leading flow in the image. It's basically with the color here and with the brightness. The foreground, the direct foreground pops. Then you have the road in the other line going up. The mountains there getting a lot of attention. And intentionally, the Milky Way is not as bright. It doesn't pop as much. It's basically, you look at it after everything else. So in this image, the flow is bottom to top. And yeah, a bit of touch there, like the cars and then camper vans parked there, give it the human element again to the image, like, yeah, there are people here, there is a building too. The more you look at the image, the more small things you find in there that add a bit of human element. And to be honest, when I was shooting this image, I didn't have enough time to think about it because, yeah, you can see there were clouds. So in this case, I got lucky. I will be 100% honest with that. I didn't know that I will be able to get so many small things in the image from before I shot the foreground, basically. And I shot the foreground only after the sky. So it might have only been the mountains and like the light, the brightness, like, and color leading to the Milky Way. But yeah, these small touches made it a bit better. And yeah, in this case, it's not exactly a leading line. There is no one dominant line in the image. It's basically just the flow of the landscape, like giving this curvature, this direction, this 3D effect, this depth that adds flow to the image. The third point I want to cover about compositions is having another strong subject in the image other than the Milky Way or whatever part of the sky you're photographing. And the image that pops in mind is one of my favorites from my recent trip to Tenerife and La Palma, my workshop there. It's this one of Cygnus. And yeah, there are a lot of things going on about the image. It's the next night from when we shot the other image of the Milky Way core. We went to a different location, like a few kilometers further from that point. No one was sleepy at that time. No one wanted to sleep. It was like 1:32, I think, when we finished with the core of the other night, the Milky Way core images. And I said, yeah, Cygnus is in a nice position now. Let's find a spot to photograph it. So we went to one spot that we had in mind, but we didn't really like it. Like, we scouted during the day and found that composition, but after all, we didn't really like it during the night. So it was like, okay, let's give this a shot. We went there yesterday, we know the spot. I have something in mind, let's go there and shoot it. And when we arrived, I saw this staircase going up and Cygnus behind it. So it was instant. For me, it was 100%. This is the shot I'm capturing. Me standing there, I didn't even have to think about it. And let me explain why adding myself there and the silhouette worked so great. Again, it's this connection effect that I talked about. In this case though, most people will look at me first in the image. And the reason is because there is bright light in front of me and around me, and my silhouette is dark. So there is a lot of contrast. And the eye goes to saturation, to contrast in the image. So yeah, that part is a lot contrasted. After you look at me, you'll either look at the sky or at the path below, because the staircase is a dominant feature in the image too. And you see the staircase going up, someone there looking at the sky basically, and then you move up and see the rocks, also the big rocks, help connect the foreground with the sky because it overlaps. When something overlaps between the sky and the foreground, it helps a bit at this connection effect because now it's on top of each other. I can't 100% explain why. I just noticed it in my images. It's something that I figured out with trial and error, basically. Again, the fuck around and find out method that I love to do with my photos. It's illuminating the path and myself, like creating that direction in the image, and then having thickness on top of that. Again, saturated, a strong feature in the image, but not the strongest. The contrast in the foreground is a bit better. You don't always have to do the whole image around the Milky Way or the sky. You can have something else as an equal or stronger subject in the image. And usually that will be something in the foreground, unless I don't even know how there is sky in foreground. So if it's not the sky, it's the foreground. I don't even know what else there will be. You can have a really strong subject. It doesn't have to be a human. It can be like a tree. Imagine if you do star trails and a tree in front of that. I was shortlisted in the Astronomy Photographer of the Year of Greenwich this year, and one of the other images there was, I think it might have been in Socotra, this image, because I know the landscape there a bit, so I can recognize it. I think it might be there. There might be, these trees might be in other places too. But yeah, it was basically just a tree in the middle of the composition and star trails behind it. The tree and the star trails were two, you might say, equal. I don't remember it exactly, the image, how it looked, and I won't really look for it now while recording. It might have been either the tree was really dominant or in background the star trails, or both of them. I'm not 100% sure, but for sure there were two subjects, the tree and the star trails behind. And other examples, I have an image of Cassiopeia and a tree below it. And the Cassiopeia, basically, that region of the Milky Way, is the extension of the tree now. So you see, it creates this flow in the image, but there are two subjects, right? It's the tree and the Cassiopeia, part of the Milky Way. If it was only the tree and just the Milky Way was in different position there and Cassiopeia was like horizontal or something, it wouldn't have been such a great composition. So it's not that you include either a second subject or a leading line or you're intentional about everything. It's you have to do everything together and think about the depth of the image, the flow of the image. Like screenshot this, basically, these lists here. It's everything you have to think about, everything I have mentioned in this video, so you don't have to go write things down and everything. And when you're out shooting, just look at this screenshot. Think about the composition you are working on. It doesn't have to be like capture a wider part of the foreground if you need to capture a few different images of you standing in frame and decide later which one you will use. Always like have a mental checklist, like how do I show depth in this image? Do I have to show depth? How will the eye flow through this image? Is there a leading line? Can I add a leading line? Can I use a leading line? Is there a human element? Can I add myself there? Can I add a tent? Can I add something that shows humanity in the image? Can I add a second strong subject? What subject can I add? Can I add a tree? If I move that way, will this tree be aligned with anything? Will this mountain be aligned? Like think about everything, be intentional and just think about how to lead the eye through the image and how to add parts of the image like subjects to either draw attention from the Milky Way or add to the whole image. And again, the step 0, you have to experiment, you have to be intentional with everything, you have to be okay with your intention being wrong and fixing it next time and next time and then next time. And after a few months, after a year, you will inevitably be a lot better than when you started thinking about compositions. And if you want my help with the compositions and everything else, I am soon launching a community that will be a lot of aspects in there. The education, the learning, I will share all my knowledge in there, in courses, in Q&A calls, in master classes and everything, but also the community aspect and like being able to discuss your photos with other people, being able to get my feedback on your images, being able to ask me specific questions in the Q&A call. So it's basically learning and improving together with other people. If you are interested in that, I will link below the waitlist, and at some point I will send a few emails Like I will accept a few people in the community, then open more spots as we progress, because I want to do it the right way basically, and I want to make sure everything works perfectly and then add more people in as time goes. But yeah, the first 50 people that join will get a lot of bonuses too. One-to-one call with me. You will be able to ask me anything you want about Astro, and I will personally help you create like a roadmap on how to improve your photos, and I will then help you follow that roadmap and become better and give you my feedback and everything. That's only for the first 50 people because it's something that takes a lot of time on my end, and I won't be able to do it if like 200-300 people are there. It's like we all have 24 hours. So yeah, if you want that personal help from me, just make sure you join the waitlist so you know when the spots open, so you are one of the 50 first people. And my aim with this is to create the community aspect and the knowledge and make it affordable too, so everyone can join. It will be more affordable than like a trial or a lens for a whole year. And that's only for the first 50 members. They will get a bit of savings as well for being the founding members of the community. There is a map feature in there, and I might, for example, travel to Atacama, and I go there in the map and go scroll to that region, Chile, and see, yeah, there are 3 photographers here. And I message them, I will be traveling there. Do you want to go shoot together? And they say, yeah, let's go to this spot. And like, that's the wholesome part of the community I want to give the opportunity to people to experience. And you might be like in France, for example, and you go to the map and see, yeah, there is another photographer like 2 hours from me. You say, I want to go to the Pyrenees and shoot, for example. You want to go together, you like pay half each for the gas or something, for the petrol, just go there, shoot together, create a long-lasting friendship with someone shooting together. Because yeah, it's kind of lonely astrophotography sometimes. Having a community of people to discuss things and shoot together will be amazing. I'm really excited to bring out this community and to release it. I really believe it will be one of the greatest places to learn and be as a nightscape enthusiast. Enough about the community, just again, link below, go join the waitlist if you're as excited for this to come out as I am. But yeah, I also promised the connection video. It's basically how to create the connection between the foreground and the sky, so it creates this magical effect in the image, which is something in the last few months I'm working on improving as well, because it took me a while to realize it. Yeah, everything I have learned so far, I have it in that video. Take a look, it will be up here.